Tonight, Fox News will be running a show hosted by John Stossel, where he's going to talk about the trouble with lawyers. I saw a clip of that show earlier today, and frankly, I'm really outraged. John starts off by saying a few things that I find devastatingly misleading. And here are a couple of his quotes. And here's the first one. I have really had enough. These guys say we're just out there to save you and make society safer, but they just serve themselves and make us less safe. John, how about if we take a recent example, the BP Gulf oil spill? Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been in the legal industry for 15 years, and it appears to me that the facts surrounding the Gulf oil spill are probably going to point to evidence that BP was cutting corners on safety issues, and their propensity to value profits over people may well have been responsible for this catastrophic disaster. Now, John, what do you think will happen if lawyers don't step in and determine things like blame, the quantification of loss of business and livelihood? When you say what you said, it frankly leads me to believe that you are being backed by the big business entities and the insurance companies that are so anxious to tell us we don't need lawyers. Instead, they tell us they will take care of everything. And while we're talking about the BP oil spill, let's talk about what BP is doing right now and why I believe every individual that has suffered a loss of this livelihood in this disaster does need a lawyer. What we're seeing is BP is attempting to settle with business owners for a fraction of what they will lose this year. If the person consults with a lawyer, the lawyer is going to have accountants and financial experts involved to quantify future losses and the potential diminution of their businesses as well. BP is not going to volunteer to do that. So John, what do you recommend? Maybe something relevant to one of your other statements. And I quote from you, John, "The lawyers are liars. Their lawsuits don't make life better for us." Well, they do for the lawyers and for a few of their clients, but for the vast majority of us, they make life much worse. I wholeheartedly disagree, John. My father was killed by a drunk driver when I was 20 years old. We subscribe to the kind of outdated thinking that, frankly, I believe you are purporting in your show, or at least in the clip I saw. We didn't think we needed a lawyer. The insurance company would surely do the right thing. Well, John, the insurance company did not do the right thing or anything. My mother raised 5 children and worked every day as a secretary at a school to keep everything afloat. Do you think that was fair? I don't. I think that we paid for insurance and the other guy paid for insurance, and somebody besides my mother should have stepped up to the plate. But they didn't, John. And if you think that big insurance companies and corporations like BP are going to step up to the plate and do the right thing without lawyers to propel them, then I really have concerns about you. Either your research is being funded by some of these big insurance companies and corporations, or I think you just did kind of lousy research that lacks a balanced view. John, I saw some of the sleazy lawyer commercials you showed in your video clip, and I really completely concur that there are sleazy lawyers, some sleazy lawyers. But there are also some sleazy corporations and some sleazy insurance salesmen, and there's even some sleazy reporters. Every industry has their fair share of sleaze, John. But my outrage is that reports like yours keep people like my hardworking mother from getting any kind of justice. Here is another of your statements, and I quote, "We need lawyers like we need nuclear missiles because we want lawyers to keep us safe. But we avoid using our missiles. We should avoid using these lawyers because they hurt other people." Who do they hurt, John? When the crew of the Maersk Alabama was attacked by pirates for the nth time that day, last year, when there was an international incident, I heard the sneers of people like you who said, in effect, "Oh boy, who are the lawyers going to sue now? The pirates?" But you know what, John? The untold story there is that the ship company was sending these maritime workers into pirate-infested waters on a regular basis. And to save money, they did not provide any kind of security for them. So these men were faced with life-threatening attacks routinely. As you may know, the lawyers did get involved, and they made a difference. And when the same ship was attacked this year, there was a security detail on board that prevented another successful pirate attack. I wish I had time to share other untold stories that never get told. The stories where these lawyers, many of whom are my dear friends, they're called sleazy, when in fact, John, I consider them heroes. You and I concur on just one thing. I've had enough too. I respectfully ask that you stop giving unbalanced reports about lawyers. It's just not fair. And I believe it keeps victims like my mother from getting the help and justice that only a lawyer can get them. The last thing you said in the clip I saw is this, and I quote again, "It's such a sleazy business. I sued once when I got beaten up by a wrestler. My own lawyer was sleazy. He was all about the money. I thought they should be taught that you don't go beating up reporters that talk about how pro wrestling is fixed." Well, John, I would say that your story is rather contradictory. If you believe that lawyers are so sleazy, why in the world did you hire one when you were beat up by the wrestler? Why didn't you follow your heart that said, we avoid using our missiles, we should avoid using lawyers too because they hurt other people? John, I'm seeing a few cracks in your story, and the whole story hasn't even aired yet. You explained in your comment why you hired that lawyer. You hired him because you thought that wrestler should be taught a lesson, that he couldn't just beat up a reporter and get away with it. Is it fair to say that you wanted justice? That's what it sounds like to me. And that was good, John. I don't know the details of your case, but my guess is that your lawyer helped send a message to other thugs that you can't just go out and beat up reporters. Just like some other lawyers sent a message that said, Mr. Ship Corporation, you can't send your maritime workers into pirate-infested waters anymore without providing some security that keeps them safe. At the end of the interview, I saw you address the host, who was a lawyer, and you said, think about all the money the country is saving because you're not practicing personal injury law. Well, John, I hear what you're intimating there, but I think it could be better said like this. Think of all the money big cost-cutting corporations like BP save when there are not lawyers to hold them accountable. This is Cindy Speaker for State Law TV News.